Hello, Luke, and others. So I'll try to answer a question here regarding the etiology of my disorder, and also from that I'll attempt to answer or I'll discuss the notion of responsibility versus social imposition. So in China, between like 59 and 61, there were millions, tens of millions of deaths due to starvation, which is due to Mao's communist regime, communism, right? Yeah. And yeah, massive, basically genocide, if that's a word for it, which I think it is. But then thereafter, they had a massive surge in obesity and people being overweight. The time this study was taken, there were 89 million people overweight in China, which was quantitatively more than that which existed in America, those which existed in America. So, were these people, did their mindsets completely shift? I mean, did it, obviously not, right? I mean, yes it did, but society changed and the cultural forces shifted completely. So there were external forces which were imposed upon them, which caused them to eat so much more and caused the nation to shift toward obesity. And yeah, the reason I say that is because, like, to what extent do we have freedom? I still believe we have constrained freedom, and I mean, the etiology of mine, I'd have to look back to, like, my childhood, and I've discussed this in other videos, and I've said about how my parents, encouraged me to finish what's on my plate, not leave the dinner table until the plate was empty, always, dessert was always like, oh, you want dessert, and I was always like, I felt like I was getting good marks for eating dessert, being able to fit dessert in me. I felt like I was doing good. If that was the case, which it always was the case, I always ate dessert. And then I snacked, and mum bought snacks, and etc, etc. There's no healthy eating. Spaghetti bolognese, if there were mushrooms in it, I would spend literally 10 minutes picking out every mushroom and then perhaps microwaving it because it'd be cold, the meal because it'd be cold. But now I'm aware of the notion of things such as existentialism and, moral responsibility. Am I just now a free agent who is the sole person, am I solely responsible for everything I do in life, Why do I not act perfectly all the time? Well, we have this shadow self, and our unconscious drives and motivations and etc. affect us more than we're aware of, I believe. Going back to the question, like social imposition, and the etiology of my disorder. And is it a disorder? Well, yes, I'd say it's a disorder. I can't think of the definition for disorder, but it's something that's out of balance and has been ingrained and hammered into place over time. Thus disorder, I guess, whatever. And it's also out of what I would like to be called order. I mean, society does play a role. If I was in a place, I want to be in a place also where I don't have an abundance of food around me, where I have to, let's say, farm my own food, just like vegetables and stuff, or say there's like one convenience store which doesn't sell any shit. The only drink it sells is like water, and only sells vegetables and fruit and whatever, and tomatoes and whatever, just basic. That I would really like, because at the moment I feel I don't have the autonomy, I don't have the autonomy, like the actual autonomy. Like, I have the potential to be completely autonomous or very autonomous, or there's You know, if I was a perfect human, then there's the potential to be extremely autonomous. But I feel in the social context I live in, with all the shops around me, with all the like the free food shelf, with people ordering pizza every other night and people bringing beers in, with all this context, I feel my autonomy, my freedom to act, is constrained by these factors, by these influences. So this is a thing. This is when I read like Sartre and existentialist philosophy and that sort of philosophy, Stoicism. You know, there's like one quote which is like, there is a gap between the thought and the action, and that is where we have our freedom. And I remember hearing that quote and going, wow, that's amazing, you know, and reading Aurelius and Seneca and thinking, wow, and fucking Ayn Rand, thinking, wow, Jesus, there is no excuse to not act perfectly. And then I'd fuck up and I'd feel really bad, I'd feel guilty and feel shame and not understand why I'm perfect. And I saw a video today about this, and you know, the idea was, you know, you write down your goals, you write down what you want, and you picture your ideal self, you visualize, and I don't know, like that stuff is good and does sound good and all, and maybe that it is a good counteraction. Maybe it's a solid, you know, medicine for dissolving this disorder and our daily afflictions that allay our abilities to achieve what we want to achieve. And maybe I'm just being lazy in not visualizing and, you know, doing that sort of positive psychology stuff. And I'm not just dismissing it, but nevertheless, I think, like, for example, today I meditated for 40 minutes, you know, I read, and I still don't feel that was good enough, or I still feel anxiety like I do now because I'm overeating. And the anxiety was there before the overeating, hence the overeating. So even if I do visualise my higher self and whatever, and I do strive toward that, and I do reduce the amount I eat and stuff, and will that be enough, you know? I'm still playing the game, right? I mean, I watched a Midnight Gospel episode, The Annihilation of Joy, and the real good thought experiment in that episode, and that one of the few bits I really enjoyed. Anyway, it was basically saying that, you know, people who consume spiritual content and talk about, you know, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're doing this and doing that, they're still playing the game. You compare it to like grinding up your level in World of Warcraft. You're still playing the fucking game. You're just leveling up a different skill set. You're still in the fucking game. You're in the Matrix. The idea is to get yourself out of the Matrix and just realise that it's all bullshit. So you can read every self-help book, read every book on Buddhism, but if you're attacking it in a mindset of, if you're consuming it in a mindset of, oh, this next book will get me up, this next book will help me achieve enlightenment or whatever, you know, this next meditation session will wake me up, then it's the wrong way to go about it, which I find quite interesting. And it makes a lot of sense. There's so much mental masturbation in terms of like self-help, and we just develop a mindset of must do better and maybe next time, and that is socially imposed, right? That's learned. We don't consume this stuff like that naturally, you know. Our surroundings have formed our mindset, our attitude to life, toward life, in a way that we just think we need more and more and more, even if it does pertain to having less. So maybe the next minimalism book will help resolve my consumerist nature, my consumerist tendencies, proclivities, you know? Right, okay. Okay, I don't know what I just said. Yeah, mental stuff, projection. Yeah, okay, etiology. At the moment, yeah, I think imprinted in childhood, it was latent, and then when I went through quite a stressful period in my life, it's just it manifested, you know, and then it got exacerbated by my daily life, and I let it, insofar as I could stop it. Yeah. At the moment, this is a thing. I'm like, okay, well, how much control do I have over it? Sometimes I feel I have no control, and that's when I'm trying to control it. That's the funny thing. That's why I'm attacking this binge eating disorder, binge eat, yeah, in this strange way, whereby I'm allowing myself to eat pretty much whatever apart from meat, so I don't want to eat that anyway. But I'm going back to vegetarianism because I'm taking off the reins, you know, I'm taking off the shackles. And it seems to be getting a bit better just because I'm not restricting myself. But the restrictions I put in place were part of my freedom, right? I was free to put restrictions in place, and thus I put them in place, but it seemed to have got worse. Is that because I'm weak? You know? Or is that partially because I have a very complex thing known as the brain, and, you know, I've a neurochemistry, or whatever you want to call it. I have a neurology going off which is beyond my level of comprehension, perhaps beyond anybody's level of comprehension, and we only know so much about it, and we are less in control of ourselves than we believe, and perhaps I can direct the amount of control I have over my life, and I can increase it, but I don't think I will ever be fully free. And maybe freedom, insofar as we can attain it, is just getting to a point where, I don't know, where our imbalances tend toward things we prefer. You know, like we might, instead of having an imbalance in alcoholism, we have an imbalance in work, and we work more, we drink less, so it's more productive. But then again, we're playing the game, right, where we're trying to be productive, and we're not just removing ourselves from the game, which would be the Tibetan monk, you know, the path to individuation, self-realization, enlightenment, nirvana, etc. Which that path would probably entail, you know, not jumping on the bandwagon of productivity and just trying to be something, you know, I don't know, trying to fulfill your life's purpose, and maybe the life's purpose is just removing yourself from everything. Okay, I'm going to stop that here. I think I have more to talk about, but I don't want to just not speak for like 20 seconds.